Wake up in the morning, I just gotta get it. Wake up in the morning, I just gotta get it.
All right, welcome everyone to the Schoology Learning Podcast. Thanks for joining us. This is the podcast where we talk about some things we're hearing out in the world about education, as well as some tips and tricks about our favorite platform, which is, of course, Schoology. My name is Kellie, and I'm joined by my colleague, Ericka Waterman.
Hey, Kelly. I'm so excited for us to take this time. I just remember how fun it was when I was teaching to take the lunchtime or, any little break that we had and just kind of talk with colleagues. So hopefully everyone can join us and just get a little chit chat about education and Schoology while they're at it.
Yeah, so let's get started.
Kelly, so good to see and talk to you again. I have been working so hard on doing like yard work and just like the nicer weather is making me wanting to like kind of clean out stuff. And I got thinking, it's also kind of the time of year for like spring cleaning for Schoology. Like what do we need to do? What should like course admins be doing to really make sure that their stuff is in a good spot for summer, leading into a good start to a good school year? And I thought, I know the perfect person to ask, which is you.
Well, thank you. It's funny you said that because I was just thinking about every year at the end of whenever the school year was sort of wrapping up, we would typically do an end of year, webinar on like ending the school year right. And then when school started again, there'd be like a back to Schoology, webinar.
Yeah.
Like now that everything's back, like what should you remember? And I know that the EICs, those are our education impact consultants for those people that don't know what that is. I know they often will consult and they also do some of that during their meetings that we call power-ups. But I don't know that gets to everybody. So it's probably not a bad idea for us just to talk about what are some good things to think about as you do wrap up the school year. So yeah. Although, like, I just props to you for actually working and getting stuff done. Like, I'm still in denial. Like, we haven't even turned our sprinklers on yet. So props to you for that.
Well, little by little, I'm trying to be the adult that I'd love to grow up to be.
Yeah.
Still working on it.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Well, because to your point, those of you who have attended the those webinars that our educational impact consultants have, they're amazing. And I think that, I think people get a lot of value out of them. But at the same time, it doesn't always cover everything for all different personas. So yeah, I was just thinking about like being a classroom teacher. And I know one of the things that I always wanted to do, keep in mind the key word there is wanted. I always wanted to do this, but I was not always successful with it. But it was like reflecting back on my year and going, what should I keep? What should I not keep? What do I want to like tweak? What do I not want to tweak? And I always meant to do that, but in the flurry of the end of the year, and then it was like, oh yeah, take a deep breath. And then all of a sudden you were back into the grindstone. And I didn't always follow through on that. But I do think like technology, having it stored in a place, I think allows a little bit better sense of that. Cause a lot of times my stuff was, on paper, in a classroom, in a binder. I wasn't hauling that stuff home and I wasn't going to school during the summer. So I was just thinking about like, what are some ways that we could encourage teachers to kind of dabble in Schoology over the summer and just kind of, keep tweaking things as they're also taking some well-deserved break from schoolwork.
Yes. Yeah. And I always feel like because there's no courses until rollover happens, whenever that might be for a district or a school, there's really there's not the natural workspace that courses provides, which maybe is a sign to just not worry about it quite yet.
Right.
Take some time.
Take that time. Yeah, that is well-deserved and important for sure.
Time. It's almost like a message saying you can't work in courses right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So go ahead.
But for those that really are focused on it, I think it's worth remembering that you've always got personal resources. So if you want to build things, you totally can. You can build out folders, you can dump those into courses later. I think, I think a lot of times people get so used to building in courses that they kind of forget there's other spaces where you can build. In fact, groups are one of
House
them.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're
Yeah.
working with a PLC or you've got curriculum time with the team over the summer, a group's a great place to put some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's a really good call out.
And one thing we used to do is, and it was more of a naming convention thing, but it was including somewhere the year that, you're building this for, or so for
Brilliant.
things that you want to, like, I want to reuse this, and we always recommended that people back up their courses into resources so they'd have everything saved somewhere.
Smart. Yeah.
And also, like we were talking about earlier, take a hard look at that stuff so you don't end up with a junk drawer. And like, was all this really great? Do I need to update some of this? And with some of the things that are happening now with AI, there's probably some ways we might reimagine doing something that we hadn't even had on the radar this time last year. Like, it is sort of crazy to think about how much things have changed, altered. Yeah.
For sure. I was talking with, I went on site and met with a few districts. And I had met with them in the fall, and we had talked about the PowerBuddy tools that were available then. And, people were like, nah, we're not sure. There was a lot of hesitancy back in the fall. There wasn't like I had, I think there were maybe 16 at the time.
Yeah.
And now I went back, way more excitement. We're up to, I think we're at 30 tools now. And so it's, with more coming all the time. And so all of a sudden it got like, oh, we're way more interested in this. And now we're kind of embracing this notion of AI and like, where can it take us and what can it all do? So that's a really good point, especially now that PowerBuddy is located on the homepage, just in the menu header of Schoology. You don't have to be in a course either. So you could use that with those personal resources.
Yeah.
Because I just know, like, I remember, I'd be on a walk with my kids in the summer. I'd be, like doing something, and an idea would hit me. And I'd be like, ooh, I should really create that for this unit, or I should look into that. And wow, I just think how powerful using those included features that allow the AI to help you out and storing them in personal or group resources. So then you got it for the fall. Like, how great would that be? So
I think that the other thing that often happens at this time of year is people get new sections. So, maybe there's something that you haven't taught for a while, or might be a new prep that you haven't taught before. And that's like the natural time in summer to sort of get up to speed on things. But to your point, now that PowerBuddy is up in the top navigation, there might be some really cool things that you could do to think about the content for next year, what you might want to build for next year. So I think the other thing that I was thinking about is for those people that leave the school year and they really do take summer and they're like, I'm not working on this until I get back.
Fair enough. Yep.
There's always sort of a moment of panic when the courses go into archive status and then you don't see them after. And so people are like, oh no, like, what happened on my courses? So that's one reason why we recommend backing up your course to resources, because it's just always available and always there, and you can tweak, modify, whatever. But don't forget, like, when you do come back, if the permissions are set, you will be able to get to any of the courses that were archived. If you just needed to go back and take a look at something, it really is best practice to back up to resources, but it's not like anything gets lost necessarily. So
it is encouraging for those and kudos to those people too. There's people from, I think, all over the spectrum, right? With teachers of those who are like super focused over the summer of improving things, and those that are like, I need to take this time to think. Either way, we have your back. I guess it's kind of what it boils down to, right? You can either come back, find those, whether it's saved to your resources or whether it's an archive course, or you can be creating all summer long if you want to do that too. I like it.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
there other like things that, as a teacher, I'm trying to think of, because you're such a Schoology expert, and have taught me so much. Are there other things that teachers should be doing this time of year to just like make sure we're wrapping up well, that there's not anything that we're not thinking about before the end of the year?
Well, I think one thing that's probably helped this year, and this is thanks to something that was added that has been asked for a long time, but depending on the SIST you're talking to, there are settings in the gradebook now for teachers to be able to automate the sync. And, it was always a forced sync before.
Yeah.
And for some SISs, that is still going to be the case. But if you have been setting that so that it's automatically syncing, you're probably in better shape than we used to be when we had to remind people, don't forget.
Oh, yeah.
Because you end up getting a lot of makeup work. And then if you put it in,
Mhm.
you don't sync it or you forget or whatever. Now, like with that automated sync option for weekly, or if you have PowerSchool SIS, even daily,
Really, yeah.
maybe that's alleviated. But I would say going back in and just checking to make sure that everything is synced. There's the logs right there. And there's always the issue of like grades not maybe matching. Like it's just a stressful time for getting the year
Mhm.
wrapped up, whether it's a final exam or makeup work or whatever. So it's always worth remembering that you've got the bulk edit tool in the gradebook, those 3 little magical dots.
Smart.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times people have trouble either because the category isn't aligned properly or the due date. If you don't put a due date on something, it lands in the very last day of the grading term, just kind of by default. So if you don't see it, like it's good, you just get a view of everything in that bulk edit screen. I actually love that screen. It's super
Yeah.
helpful. Yeah.
I do really like it. I was surprised at how many people have commented on how much they like and use that bulk edit tool. So just so you know, we're like looking at how we can expand that because it gets a lot of love. But those are good call outs, like making sure you've got the things the way that you want them. And it also is always interesting because I hear a lot of people will say, oh, my grades aren't going over correctly into the SIS. And a lot of times it has to do with how their grades are set up. So this might be another good time to, like, if you're noticing anything, like make sure everything is set up the same between Schoology and your student information system. Because if one is set up to calculate one way and one's set up to calculate another way, you're going to end up with some differences there for sure.
Yeah, we actually, often will recommend that people just turn off the cumulative grade column in the gradebook and Schoology if you're sticking to assist, so that everyone knows that the whole, like the official grade of record is over here. And it's something that, if you do have it set that way now, it'll save you a lot of pain. You can always set it up that way now. Like, it doesn't matter when you do that. Just make sure you communicate to kids, like, where can I find my final
Where
grade?
should you be looking? Yeah.
Where should you be looking? Yeah.
Don't pull the rug out. Yeah. At the
Right.
very last minute, but yeah.
Right. And then I think some other things that we've often talked about is for people that are using grading groups, sometimes they are assigning things and they just want to grade the work from that grading group or whatever. Don't forget you've got filters that you can use underneath the members area. If you've set up grading groups, you can basically filter out everybody else and just focus on those particular students. And then obviously you can then see, not that you would be using this for seeing if there was equity among like the grades you've been giving, but you can see if there's missing work more cleanly. It's just, I think people forget about the filters sometimes.
Yeah.
In the gradebook.
No, I definitely think that could be valuable. And, for those that do have, do want to take a look at, depending on what your grading groups are, for those that do want to take a look at, what does the grading look like between these groups?
Yeah.
Like you said, I do think that's a valuable thing, in addition to just helping streamline, grade entry as well, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, those grading groups really can serve a lot of purposes. I've seen them used in quite a few different ways with districts, depending on how they have them set up. So
Yeah.
that's another good call out.
And for the system admins, obviously they have a whole nother set of things to think about in terms of, and a lot of that has to do with like closing out the year in terms of what the school year, active school year is that you're syncing from your SIS. Like there's a lot of admin things that have to happen.
Which we have, I think our services team offers help with that, right? Don't they have a services program that will help with assistance so for those of you who are like, oh shoot, I'm not sure what it is my first year doing rollover with Schoology, we do have some great help through our services team.
Yeah, we have a rollover package, which basically helps with, temporarily disabling imports, making sure the connection to the SIS is set up, cleaning up old user data. One thing that often happens
Yeah.
at the end of the year is trying to get students out that have graduated, or, just making sure that you've basically looked at staff members that aren't there anymore. And if they've got their stuff in groups, it's even better because you don't lose anything. But there's a whole nother set of things that the system admins, have to think about. But the rollover package is designed so they don't have to, they can have somebody else help them do all of that.
Which is awesome. Yeah, that would be the route I would go of like, someone just take care of this for me. That would be great. Thanks.
Yes. My nightmare, this is a total side note, but my nightmare when I was at the district level, we did this foolish thing where we let every school name their own grading terms. So some, I know, I see, like, nobody else can see this but your face, exactly. So school year, full year dash full year. One was SY apostrophe one, like, and I had to map all those every year.
No, that's a chaos that I wouldn't wish on anybody. Yeah. We've actually talked about that recently with some of the standards work we're doing on the engineering side of that whole notion of letting people name their own things or create their own things sounds good in theory because it just is like, oh, this is going to be so easy. Everybody can just do this on their own and they're going to know what it means and it's going to be great. But then you try and take that into a larger perspective and into account across any like larger group, and all of a sudden it just falls apart. You're like, nope, that we need standardization.
Yeah. Sometimes it's very warranted and called for.
Yeah. Well, and it even goes to, like what you were saying earlier with naming conventions, whether it's even group resources or personal, having a kind of a set format for how you name things so that you can find things easy. I think it's just another little helpful reminder to make your life as easy as possible wherever you can.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I thought about with some of the resources, if you wanted to save those into a folder to share with somebody who might be new also, it might be worth like you can in, this person resources area, create these things called collections, which lets you share with an individual person versus a group, which is like whoever's a member of the group. Sometimes that, like, if you're going to have somebody new on your team, maybe make a folder of things you'd want to share with that person also, make their lives a little bit easier.
I love that.
Yeah, especially a lot of new staff, right?
Yes. And I'm just thinking like, and they're definitely going to be grateful to have anything to look over as they're getting started also. And so it's, the more you can help, the merrier for sure.
Yeah.
These are good. I think these are good things to like little reminders of like, how do we kind of wrap up the year, get things clean, ready to go. So you can come back, ready to tackle it all again next year. Yeah.
And I also, our support center also has some, good tips and tricks for the end of the year, and all the things that we want people to remember at the end of the year, where they're, just trying to get out of there, is captured. And also, if you are a member or you have been going to the Power Ups, the EICs will have something obviously for you, and they'll talk about some of these end of year processes that are super important. And then when you come back and you have had rollover, and you can, just grab those courses, the course resources for your person resources area, pull them in, maybe think about flipping the order, or maybe experimenting with some new features.
I love it. Yeah.
Release, right? And
we're going to have so much fun stuff to talk about over the summer to prep for next year. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Yes. I'm
Yeah.
actually looking really forward to like the welcome back to Schoology.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to
Yes.
be amazing.
Yeah.
But I do just want to say, hey, huge thank you to all the educators out there. For anybody who's working in school who's listening to this, your contributions, your effort, the tears, the laughter, the sweat, the time you've spent, it's all appreciated whether you recognize it or not. So thank you to everybody out there. And hopefully we'll just keep doing things within Schoology that make your job that much easier, because it seems like a lot of other things are popping up to make it more difficult. So we're here to keep helping.
Yes. May have a smooth end to the school year. May you take some time off. And then yes. And then we'll look forward to continuing the learning.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining this episode of the Schoology Learning Podcast. Hope to see you next time where we'll talk about some more topics of interest and, of course, talking about our favorite platform, Schoology.
And in the meantime, if you click on the user toolbox at the bottom of the Schoology page, there are lots of resources out there, including other episodes of this podcast to listen to. Until next time.
And hope to see you next time. Thanks all.